This song could be an ode to ARMY, the BTS members themselves, music, or perhaps, most likely, all three at once. On the surface, Come Over sounds deceptively simple. Someone misses someone, someone wants to reconnect, someone is standing outside a door asking if they can come over. But beneath that simplicity is a surprising amount of fear, uncertainty, and vulnerability. This is not a reunion song. It's a song about returning after a long absence and not knowing whether you'll still be welcomed. It's about carrying the weight of separation, wondering whether the past still matters, and finding the courage to knock on the door anyway. We open with the chorus. When a night that feels empty arrives, I find myself calling for you again. Yeah, I'm lost. Can I come over? I just want to say I'm sorry. I hate myself like this. Yeah, I'm lost. Can I come over? I think the most important clue in the chorus is the line when a night that feels empty arrives. It didn't say when the night is empty, but when the night feels empty. And I think that's very important because the emptiness is actually subjective. The speaker isn't sitting alone with nothing to do. In fact, he could be incredibly busy. He could be working, touring, serving, maybe in the military, recording music, surrounded by people, or just fully occupied with life. Yet, despite all of that, something still feels missing. And that's what makes I find myself calling for you again feels even more important. The word again. It tells us that this is not a one time occurrence, it's a pattern, a habit, something that he keeps finding himself doing. It's almost like I thought I had moved on, or maybe I thought I was fine, or maybe I thought I was busy enough, and yet here I am again, calling for the same person. That's also why the apology feels very different. He's saying, I just want to say I'm sorry. I hate myself like this. I don't think he's apologizing for hurting the other person, but apologizing because he keeps on coming back, because he knows it's a cycle. He walks away, he gets busy, he throws himself into something else. Then one night arrives where everything suddenly feels empty again and he finds himself reaching for the same person. So the you can actually work on multiple levels simultaneously. It could be BTS during their solo activities when they were busy touring, releasing albums on their own, building individual careers. Yet there are still moments when all of that still doesn't completely fill the space BTS occupies. So the emptiness isn't the absence of activities, but the absence of something fundamental. It could also be for army. Military service kept them occupied. Life probably continued. Time moved forward, yet there were still nights when the distance was felt. And that instinct was to reach back towards army. Or it could also be music. This may actually be the most sugar coded interpretation of all. Suga has already written a love song to piano titled First Love. He has already treated music as a companion, comfort, a person, even a relationship. So it's not difficult to imagine. I tried doing other things. I stayed busy. Life moved on. But when the emptiness came, I still found myself calling for music. So what makes the chorus strong is that all three interpretation works at the same time. The song isn't necessarily about who do you run to when you feel empty, but more like what is the thing you always return to when everything else falls away. And for Suga or BTS, the answer could be each other, army or music. And all three are so deeply intertwined that separating them becomes almost impossible. And that's why I think I wouldn't necessarily choose just one person. I think Suga intentionally wrote a chorus that can hold all of them at once. Now we go into Suga's verse. Baby, don't do me like that. So much time has already passed since the day we drifted apart. Should we leave our separate stories buried? Sorry, I'm a little late, aren't I? Have you been doing okay all this time? Us starting again. Let's never be apart. What I find interesting about Suga's verse is that it feels like he's actively trying to avoid getting stuck in the past. And that's very Suga. The verse begins by acknowledging the distance. So much time has already passed since the day we drifted apart. But then he immediately follows it with, should we leave our separate stories buried? I don't think he's bitter. I don't think he hates the past. I just think that he is impatient. Almost like he's saying, are we really going to be spending our time unpacking everything that happened while we were apart? Because there is an unspoken assumption that a lot had happened. People changed, life happened, there were successes and failures and regrets and loneliness and experiences neither side fully shared. Yet Suga doesn't seem interested in conducting an inventory of all those years. I think he's saying we've already lost enough time. Why waste more time in going back into that stage of separation? And that's why I think the transition into story, I'm a little late, I think that's very intentional. I think the conversation suddenly becomes lighter. He's making it lighter, more casual, more human, almost like he deliberately redirects it. He acknowledges the past, then immediately moves away from it. Instead of asking, what happened? Why did we drift apart? Who was responsible? He's asking, have you been okay? And that's a very, very different conversation. It's very present focused rather than past focused. And the have you been okay or have you been well is a traditional Korean greeting when meeting with someone you haven't met with for a while. So there's a deliberate attempt to be more casual. Then the verse ends with us starting again. Let's never be apart again. And this line actually strengthened my theory that he is not just addressing armies, but also music and his bandmates. Because if the song was exclusively for Army, there's a small contradiction. Army didn't leave, BTS did. Military service took them away. The fans remained. So it's slightly unusual for BTS to say, don't leave me again. But the line makes much more sense if you is broader than Army. If you includes BTS members, music, creative life, maybe even the industry, suddenly the line becomes much richer. The members did separate, the group did pause, and the industry did move forward while they were gone. Trends changed, new artists emerged, the landscape evolved, and there is a genuine feeling of returning to something that may not be exactly where they left it. Now we go into RM's verse. His verse is in English. Some people think it's a contradiction to what Suga was saying, but I think not really. I think they're processing the same situation from different stages of acceptance. Suga is already trying to move forward, but RM is admitting that he isn't fully there yet. RM can't let go as easily as Suga. RM sounds like someone who's trying to understand the logic, but isn't emotionally finished with it yet. My blood on the floor. And this actually escalates the emotion pretty quick. We go from knock, knock, knocking on your door to my blood on the floor. To me, he sounds like he's still bleeding, like he's still carrying wounds from this. Whether those wounds came from the separation itself, or the loneliness, or the uncertainty, or things that happened while they were apart, not really clear. But what's important is that RM doesn't sound like he is healed. He's still standing there wounded while knocking on the door. When he says, what the hell am I doing this for? It sounds like he is questioning his own persistence, almost like, why haven't I given up after everything that has happened? Or after all the miseries and pain, why do I still care this much? So the question is not necessarily directed at the other person, it's actually more like directed at himself. When he says you act like done with the past, I think he's saying he's not ready to bury the past yet, just like what Suga was suggesting. But it's not because he wants to live in the past. I think it's just simply because the past still means something to him. When he says dust in the flashlight, I think that is a beautiful image. For a brief moment, It looks like fairy dust, but you can't touch it. You cannot hold it and you can't keep it. The moment that you reach for it, it's gone. It's invisible, untouchable. Smoke in the Black Night is almost like taking that the same idea further. At least dust in a flashlight can be seen, but smoke in complete darkness can't. You know it's there, but it has become impossible to see and grasp, impossible to fully experience again. So, what is RM mourning? I don't think he's mourning the relationship itself. I think he's mourning a version of it. Maybe a chapter, a particular time, or something that happened in the past that changed him completely. Something that was beautiful, something that mattered, something that can never exist in exactly the same form again. That's why the metaphors work so well. Dust in a flashlight, smoke in the dark. They're both beautiful and very real, but impossible to recover. And then he says, but I hate metaphors. This is a classic RM line because after giving us two gorgeous metaphors, he immediately rejects it. But I don't think he's saying he hates metaphors, literally. I don't think he's saying I don't like writing metaphors. I think he's saying metaphors are failing me or that there is no language precise enough to explain what I'm feeling. Almost like I don't want to compare it to dust. I don't want to compare it to smoke. I wish I could just tell you directly. I wish there is a way for me to communicate to you exactly how I feel. But I can't. RM can't because the feeling itself is too complicated. I think what makes RM's verse the heaviest part of the song is that he's the only one who's willing to sit with the loss. Suga wants to move forward. J Hope has already found the answer, and we'll discuss that in the next part. But RM is still standing in the doorway, looking at the past. Not because he wants to return to it, but because he refuses to pretend that the past wasn't beautiful and worth holding on to. Then we go to J Hope's verse. As if telling me to knock on your heart right now. There is no front or back, just the edge of a cliff. I don't care if it hurts or if I cry. If it's you, I don't mind any of it, my savior. Even if it's sharp and cuts me again, that's still a part of my page. I'm past the pain. Maybe that's why I fought with myself every day. Yeah, I'm a rover who found the answer. Now I row forward. J Hope is the one that changes the direction of the song completely. His verse is the first one that feels genuinely action oriented. He's not asking questions anymore. He's not debating the past. He's not wondering whether the relationship is worth saving. He's already made that decision. That's why lines like, I don't care if it hurts or I cry, is actually critical. The pain is no longer part of the calculation for J Hope. He doesn't mind that anymore. He's confronted it and he has accepted it, and he is okay even if he gets hurt again. The lines "Aptwiga omnen salgucho biorongkut go up." A literal translation doesn't really flow very naturally, which is usually a sign that the writer is prioritizing imagery and rhythm over strict grammar. Aptwiga omna is actually a common Korean expression which literally translates to there is no front or back. But but it could mean lacking in context or not thinking things through or being reckless or acting impulsively. And then the next line, 뼈렁끝, means the edge of a cliff. So put together, the line feels closer to I've stopped thinking about consequences or I'm already standing at the edge of a cliff, meaning the danger is already right in front of me. And add that to the next line. If it's you, I don't mind. This may be the clearest statement in the entire song, where the you is army, BTS, music, or a loved one. J Hope's conclusion is the same. You're worth it. The sacrifice is worth it. The pain, the risk, whatever it is worth it. It is not up for debate. And I also think this connects beautifully to even if it cuts me again, that's still part of my page because this is where he really departs from RM. RM is mourning the chapter that has ended, but J Hope is already starting to write the next chapter. He's saying, even if it cuts, even if it is a mistake, a heartbreak, or whatever, it is a part of the story. When he says, I'm past the pain, maybe that's why I fought with myself every day. I think he's not really saying the pain disappeared. I think he's saying, I've finally gotten through it. Or maybe all of those years fighting with myself were leading me to this realization. The realization being, we should go and continue. The three rappers in this song aren't just taking turns, they're actually handling a different stage of reconciliation. Suga is the one that starts the conversation, RM processes the loss, and J Hopes decide what to do next. And what makes the final line hits harder. Yeah, I'm a rover who found the answer. A rover is someone who wanders and searches. J Hope is saying he's not wondering anymore. He found the answer, which is why the song ends with, Can I come over? Because it's not over. It's not a question. He already made a decision, regardless of the consequences. And he is on his way. Sometimes I wish that they actually included this song in the album and then made One More Night the bonus track. But I don't know. But I'm sure they have their reasons. Doesn't change the fact that it's a perfect song. I am definitely looking forward to it. Okay, I have one or two more after this one. Definitely one more for a wrap up. I might do one more to cover other songs that I did not cover that I think will fit in one video. Okay. Thank you so much for being with me. If you can, please go to our online magazine, Asian Entertainment and Culture.com, Asian Entertainment and Culture.com. We're trying to boost that up so that we can highlight more Asian artists, Asian art, so that they can find their audience in the West. You can also donate to the channel and the online magazine. The QR code should be on your screen right now. That really helps us. So please continue doing that. Also, if you are a member of my Patreon community or YouTube member, I do a live stream once a week. I also provide exclusive content that does not go public. So consider supporting me there as well. That is it, I think. Thank you so much. Please like the video, subscribe, and hit that notification button. But the most important thing is for you to share the video. So send a link to your family, friends, text messages, leave a link on your social media, messaging app, everywhere. If there are backlinks, if there are links that are coming back to the channel, the better for us. It's going to push the algorithm to recommend this more. Thank you so much. Till next time.